I hope you have the cosmic system in your mind. If it is not there yet, please close your eyes and visualize the lowest ones, the 4 woeful states, and then human beings, and then 6 devas, and then 16 Rupa Vachara Brahmas, and 4 Arupa Vachara Brahmas. And 16 Arupa Vachara Brahmas, first jhana Brahmas, second jhana, third jhana, and 4th jhana Brahmas. And 4th jhana Brahmas are altogether 7. A great reward and mindless beings, and 5 pure abodes. And then the 4 Arupa Vachara Brahmas, Akasa, Nancha, Yatana, and so on. So now we want to know what types of consciousness functions as rebirth consciousness in each of these realms. So please go to page 194 in the book and section 10. Therein, the unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity becomes the rebirth linking consciousness at the moment of descent into the woeful plane. That means when a person is reborn in the woeful plane, first the unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity becomes a rebirth linking. That means that consciousness functions as a rebirth consciousness. So unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity. Unwholesome resultant, so one of these, right? Unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity. So this one. So when a person is reborn in the 4 woeful states, his rebirth consciousness is that one. So that consciousness functions as a rebirth consciousness. That means that consciousness arises at the very first moment in that life. Then it lapses into the life continuum. That means it arises again, but now it is not called rebirth linking, but instead it is called bhavanga or life continuum. And this life continuum moments may be 15, 16 moments before there arises mind door adverting and so on. So this same type of consciousness first functions as rebirth, and also it functions as life continuum or bhavanga all through his life whenever there is no active thought processes taking place. And finally, it becomes the death consciousness. So that means at the end of life, there is death. So when a person dies, then there must be a death consciousness, and that death consciousness is just the same as the rebirth linking consciousness and life continuum consciousness. So in a given life, rebirth linking, life continuum, and death are just one and the same type of consciousness. So here, a person is reborn in hell or as an animal, or as a Veda, or as a Asura. So when he is reborn, his rebirth consciousness is this one. Since it is the rebirth consciousness, all through his life, whenever it arises, it is called the bhavanga, or life continua. And also when death occurs, this consciousness arises. So in the four woeful states, beings take rebirth with that consciousness. So that is one type of rebirth. Now section 11. The wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity occurs as the rebirth linking life continuum and death consciousness of deformed human beings of the sensuous blissful plane. Sensuous blissful plane means kama sukati. Deformed human beings, such as those born blind, etc., as well as of some earthbound deities and of some fallen asuras. Now, here we must understand what we mean by someone born blind. Now, the commentators explain that the expression born blind refers to one whose rebirth consciousness is produced by a karma that, owing to deficiency of merit, is incapable of generating eyes with the capacity for vision. Now, those who are born blind means those who are born without vision, but that is caused by, or that is the owing to the deficiency of his karma in the past. His karma was the kusala karma, but that kusala karma cannot generate eyes in that person. So when the eyes should arise in that person, they do not arise. So such a person is called a person born blind. So he will be born blind. But there can be some causes of blind rather than the karma. Suppose after the eyes have arisen, there may be some accident or there may be some disease. So if the eye faculty is destroyed by some accident or disease, such a person is not called a person who is born blind in this place. Because a blindness under such circumstances may occur also to those with a double or triple rooted rebirth consciousness. Even those whose rebirth consciousness is accompanied by 2 roots or 3 roots, even to those people, blindness can come due to accidents or a disease. So here, those born blind means those who are born blind owing to the deficiency of their karma. That means their karma cannot produce the eyes when it is time to produce the eyes. The same with born deaf and others. So for them, those who are, say, born blind, the rebirth consciousness is this one. Wholesome resultant investigation consciousness. So wholesome, this is wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by upekkha or equanimity. So that serves as the rebirth consciousness for such beings. So human beings born blind, etc., and also some earthbound deities. So although they are deities, they may also lack in some of these faculties. And some fallen asuras, these fallen asuras dwell in villages or in the vicinity of villages, living off the remains of food discarded by the residents. They also haunt and oppress human beings when they fail to obtain food. So sometimes they harass people simply because they want something. So they want to eat or they want to drink. So the 8 great resultants act as the rebirth linking life continuum and death consciousness everywhere in the sensuous blissful plane. Now sensuous blissful plane means Kama Sugati. So if you look at the chart, Kama Sugati consists of human beings and the 6 devas. So for human beings and 6 devas, the 8 great resultants act as the rebirth linking life continuum and death. So 8 great resultants means these 8. So for human beings and for the 6 deva realms, one of these 8 types of consciousness will act as a rebirth linking life continuum and death consciousness. Now we are all human beings. So our rebirth consciousness must be one of these 8. What do you want it to be? The first one or second one or third or fourth? The first 2 are accompanied by 3 roots. But number 3 and 4 are accompanied by 2 roots. 5 and 6 accompanied by 3 roots, and 7 and 8 accompanied by 2 roots. So if your rebirth consciousness is accompanied by 2 roots, you have no chance of getting jhanas or enlightenment in this life. So let us say we are born with the first jhana. So one of these 8 types of consciousness functions as rebirth linking at the moment of rebirth, and as life continuum during life, and also as death consciousness when we die. These 9 comprise rebirth linking in the sensuous blissful plane. So these 9 means these 8 and this one. They function as relinking and so on in the sensuous blissful plane. The foregoing 10 modes are reckoned as sense sphere rebirth linking. So sense sphere or kama vajra, sense sphere rebirth linking. For sense sphere rebirth linking, there are 10 types of consciousness functioning. For the 4 woeful states, the wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by ubekha serves as rebirth linking, life continuum and death. For the 4 woeful states, unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness. But for human beings who are born deformed and so on, the wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity. And for human beings in the 6 devas, one of the 8 resultant consciousness functions as rebirth linking, life continuum and death. So altogether there are 9 rebirth linking in the sensuous blissful plane, and there are 10 in sense sphere plane. So we say there are 10 in sense sphere plane or Kamavajra rebirths. Okay, now we will go to the Brahma planes. So there are 3 Brahma planes. Now the first jhana resultant occurs in the first jhana plane as the rebirth linking, life continuum and death consciousness. So first jhana resultant occurs. First jhana resultant, this one. First jhana, no, this is second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana and fifth jhana. So first jhana resultant functions as the rebirth linking consciousness, life continuum consciousness and death consciousness in the first jhana planes, in the three first jhana planes. So that means in order to be reborn there, you have to have first jhana, and you have to have this first jhana intact. That means you have access to the first jhana whenever you want. And so you die with that first jhana intact, and then you will be reborn as one of these Brahmas, and the relinking consciousness, there will be the first jhana resultant consciousness. If you want to be reborn in the second jhana realms, there are three, then what jhanas do you need to have? Now, there is a confusion here. Jhanas are taught as 4 or as 5. In the discourses, mostly the 4 jhanas are taught. But in Abhidhamma, both 4 and 5 are taught. So sometimes there is a confusion, because sometimes we say 8 jhanas, sometimes we say 9 jhanas. So these are actually the same. Now, first let us say 5 jhanas. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, fifth jhana. So how many factors arise with first jhana? 5 factors. Initial application, sustained application, zest, and what else? Sukha, happiness, and one-pointedness of mind. And the second jhana, without initial application. Third jhana, without initial application and sustained application. Fourth jhana, without zest. And fifth jhana, without happiness but with equanimity. When jhanas are said to be 4, then the second jhana has only 3 jhana factors. In the 5-fold method, the second jhana has 4 jhana factors. But in the 4-fold method, the second jhana has 3 jhana factors. That is because there are persons whose faculties are keen, and so they are able to eliminate 2 factors of jhana at one stroke. So for them, there are only 4 jhanas. They eliminate the first 2 at one time, and the others one by one. So for them, there are only 4 jhanas. But for those who have to eliminate vitaka and vichara separately, there are 5 jhanas. So now these realms are arranged with reference to 4 jhana method. That is why you don't see 5th jhana realm here among the 31 planes of existence. So the first jhana 3 are all right. But the second jhana 3, in order to be reborn there, you have to have second and third jhana according to 5-fold method. So the second jhana resultant and third jhana resultant function as rebirth linking, life continuum and death in 3 second jhana planes. That is number 4, 5 and 6. Then the 3 third jhana planes, number 7, number 8 and number 9. So there the 4th jhana resultant functions as rebirth linking, life continuum, and death. Then for number 10, we have phala. So for that plane, the fifth jhana resultant functions as relinking, life continuum, and death. And for asanyasata number 11, there is nothing, because no mind there. But they must have obtained the fifth jhana. So after obtaining the fifth jhana, they develop again the fifth jhana with disgust for mind. So they may practice meditation saying, mind is disgusting, mind is disgusting, mind is disgusting. And so they develop disgust for mind. And as a result of this practice, when they are reborn, they will be without mind. So we cannot say that any type of consciousness functions as relinking, life continuum, or death, because there is no mental activity for these beings called asanyasata or non-percipient beings. And then we have Suddhavasa or pure abodes 5. To be reborn in number 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, one needs to get fifth jhana. And also one needs to be an anagami. We have just studied that only anagamis are to be found in the 5 pure abodes. So he must be an anagami and he must have the fifth jhana. So that fifth jhana resultant consciousness will function as a relinking, life continuum and death in these 5 pure abodes. And then we come to arupa vajra 4. So for the first arupa vajra realm, the first arupa vajra resultant consciousness functions as rebirth, life continuum, and death. So for the number 1 akasa nancha yatana, this resultant consciousness functions as rebirth, life continuum, and death. Then for number 2 vijnanancha yatana, then the second resultant consciousness. And for number 3 akinchanya yatana, the third resultant consciousness. And for number 4 nivasanya nasanya yatana, the fourth arupa vajra resultant consciousness functions as relinking, life continuum, and death consciousness. So altogether we get how many types of consciousness functioning as rebirth, relinking, and death? Now we found these 2 first, right? These 2, and then these 8, and then these 5, rupa vajra 5, rupa vajra resultant 5, and the 4 arupa vajra resultant 4. So 2 investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity, and then 8 sense sphere resultant consciousness, 5 rupa vajra resultant consciousness, and 4 arupa vajra resultant consciousness. These 19 types of consciousness functions as relinking, life continuum, and death. So when beings are reborn in these realms, they are reborn with their corresponding resultant consciousness functioning as rebirth linking, life continuum, and and dead consciousness. Now, we will have more to say about this when we reach the next section. Now, we will try to see the lifespan of these realms, how long you will live if you are reborn as a human being, or if you are reborn in 4 woeful states, and so on. So lifespan are here shown in this chart. So the lifespan of Nirya, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and Manusa also 5. So the lifespan of these 5 are no age limit. So we cannot say that lifespan in these realms are so many years, because when a being is reborn in the woeful states, he will be there according to the gravity of the akusala he did. If his akusala is very great, then he will live there longer. If akusala is not so great, he will not live there long, and so on. So there we cannot definitely limit the lifespan of these realms. And human beings also, it is taught in Buddhism that human beings can live thousands and thousands of years. A human lifespan can be thousands and thousands of years, and also it can be as short as 10 years. So there is no age limit for human beings also. Next is Jatu Maharajika. Their lifespan is shown here in 2 types. CY means celestial years or Deva years, and HY human years. So the lifespan of first Deva realm is 500 celestial years, and it is equivalent to 9 million human years. And in Tower Dingsa heaven, the lifespan according to celestial years is 1,000, and human years is 36 million. For Yamas, 2,000 celestial years and 144 million human years. And for Tusitas, 4,000 celestial years and 576,000 human years. And for Nimanarati, 8,000 celestial years and 2,304 million human years. And for Paranimita Vasavodi, the highest of the 6 Deva realms, 16,000 celestial years and 9,216 million human years. So the Devas live much longer than human beings. But according to Deva reckoning, the first ones live only 500 years, the second ones 1,000 years, and so on. But as reckoned according to human years, then they are 9 million years, and so on. Then we come to the Brahmas. The lifespan of one Brahma Parisajja is said to be 1/3 AK. Now, A means Asangcheya and K means Kappa. Kappa means a world, or how is it translated in English? Eons. Aeon. Actually, even one kappa, we cannot say how long is one kappa. So once a monk asked the Buddha how long a kappa is, and Buddha said it is difficult to say so many years or so many 100 years, so many 1,000 years, so many 100,000 years, and so on. Then he asked, could you give us an example? Then Buddha said, suppose there is a pit, 1 yojana deep and 1 yojana long and 1 yojana in breadth. That means about 8 miles long, 8 miles deep, and 8 miles in width, a pit. And that pit is filled with, let's say, sesame seeds. And a man would come every 100 years or so and take just one seed from that pit. And so by taking these seeds every 100 years or so, this pit would be exhausted. But still 1 kappa, 1 world is not yet ended. So it is that long. Here, the world, we must understand that there are 2 kinds of worlds or kappa mentioned here. So one is here AK, Asankhya kappa, and the other one is MK, Maha kappa. So the lifespan of the first one, Brahma Parisaja, is 1/3 of a Asankhya kappa. And the lifespan of the second, Brahma Purohita, half of Asankhya kappa, and of the third, Mahabrahma, 1 Asankhya kappa. Let us read Guide to section 14 on page 198. The Buddhist texts speak of 3 kinds of eon: an interim eon, an incalculable eon, and a great eon. So 3 kinds of kappas here. An interim eon called Antara kappa. Antara means in between. Is the period of time required for lifespan of human beings to rise from 10 years to the maximum of many thousands of years and then fall back to 10 years. During the time of the Buddha, human lifespan is considered to be 100 years. And it is said that it is diminishing. 20 such interim eons equal 1 incalculable eon or Asankhya kappa. And 4 incalculable eons constitute 1 great eon, Mahakappa. The length of a great eon is said by the Buddha to be longer than the time it would take for a man to wear away a mountain of solid granite, 1 yojana, about 7 miles high and wide, by stroking it once every 100 years with a silk cloth. So this is another simile. So you can find this in the Samyutta Nikaya. So, according to the commentators, the eon referred to in the figures of the lifespans in the first jhana plane is the Asankhya kappa, while the eon referred to from the gods of minor luster up through the higher planes is the Mahakappa. So, lifespan for the first 3 jhana planes is the Asankhya, with regard to Asankhya kappa, and the lifespan for other Brahmas according to the Mahakappa. So there is this difference. Here, in the commentaries, it is said that 1 Asankhya, 1 incalculable eon, is equal to 64 interim eons, not 20. 20 is the opinion of some teachers. So when in the books it is said that some teachers say this, that means it is not acceptable to the author. Now when writing books, they may indicate something very subtly. So they will not say, I don't accept this. But when they say, some people say this, that means he doesn't like it. So here also, what the commentary say is, one Asankhya eon equals 64 interim eons. And one Mahakabba, one great eon equals 4 Asankhyas. And then they said, some say that 20 such interim eons equal 1 incalculable 1. So I think we should follow what is the common opinion of many teachers and not the ones mentioned as of some teachers. So let us say, instead of 26, we should say 64. So 64 interim eons equal 1 incalculable eon, and 4 incalculable eons constitute 1 great eon. Now, why is there this difference? For the first jhanas, we take eons to mean Asankhya eon, and for the second jhanas and so on, we take eon to mean the great eon. Because in the books, it doesn't say whether it is an Asankhya eon or Maha eon, or whether it is a K or MK. They just say K. Now, in order to understand this, we must understand the process of destruction of the world. Now, the world is destroyed by fire, water, and wind. How the world is destroyed by fire, water, and air. So there you will see that the world is destroyed by fire for 1 time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And at the 8th time, it is destroyed by water. And then on the 9th time, it is destroyed by fire again until 15th time. At the 16th time, it is destroyed by water. And then 17 to 23, destroyed by fire, and 24 destroyed by water, and so on and so on. But when it reaches the 64th, it is destroyed by air or wind. And when it is destroyed by fire, it destroys all 3 first jhana realms. So first jhana realms cannot last for 1 Mahakabba, 1 great eon. They last for just 1/4 of an Asankhya Kabba, 1/4 of the Mahakabba. So, since they cannot last for 1 whole great eon, we must take the eon for them to mean not the great eon, but the Asankhya eon, or incalculable eon. So, the lifespan of the Brahmas should be reckoned with regard to Asankhya eon for the first jhana planes and the great eons for second jhana planes and so on. So the lifespan of number 4 is 2 Mahakabha, great eons, and of number 5, 4, of number 6, 8, of number 7, 16, of number 8, 32, of number 9, 64, and of number 10, 500. And also for asanya satttas, for mindless beings, 500 great eons. And then for number 12, aviha, the first of the pure abodes, 1,000 great eons, and for the Attabha, 2,000, for Suddhasa, 4,000, for Suddhasi, 8,000, and for Akanita, 16,000 great eons. And then for the first Arubhavajara, 20,000 great eons, and for the second, 40,000, for the third, 60,000, and for the fourth, 84,000 great eons. So this is the lifespan of these Brahma worlds. So if you are reborn as a Brahma, and even if you gain enlightenment, you will live there for a long, long time. So those who gain enlightenment after you and who are reborn again as human beings or devas may enter Nirvana much sooner than you do. Because once you are reborn there, you will live for the whole span of life, many eons or kalpas. So, as we understand the in one life rebirth linking consciousness, life continuum consciousness, and the death consciousness are similar and have an identical object. So this is the summary of this section on page 199. You already know this. So in one life, in one particular birth, rebirth linking consciousness, life continuum consciousness, and death consciousness are similar. Similar means the same type of consciousness arising again as life continuum and arising again as death consciousness. And they have identical object. That means they have the same object. When the object of rebirth is karma, then the object of bhavanga and object of death must also be karma. So if the object is sign of karma, then the whole life, the bhavangas will take the sign of karma as object, and death also takes that one. So in one life, the rebirth linking, life continuum, and death consciousness are just one type of consciousness, and also they take the same object. This is true for almost all cases. Now there is lifespan of devas according to reckoning of the different devas, so that you see on by lifespan of this one. Now the first one, Chatu Maharajika, by their reckoning, their lifespan is 500. But by the reckoning of Tawadesa, their lifespan is only 250. And by the lifespan of Yama, their lifespan is only 125, and so on. Lifespan of Tawadesa, according to Chatu Maharajikas, is 2000. Lifespan of Yama, according to Chatu Maharajika, is 8,000, and so on. So we can find out how long a deva lives in Chatu Maharajika. In terms of Tawadensa, his lifespan is only 250, and so on. And in Tawadensa, the lifespan is 2000, right? So, according to Jadu Maharajika reckoning, the lifespan of Tawadingsa is 2004 Jadu Maharajikas and so on. So this is just calculating lifespan with regard to different realms of 6 devas. Now the next page is not shown in the manual, but in some Burmese books they are given. I'm not sure what is the source of these statements. They must have the source, because without sources our teachers will not give us this reckoning. But this is just for your information. So it is said that the size of the first hell is 15,000 yojanas, and the size of second Kalasoda is 30,000 yojanas, and so on. And then distance between the human realm and Jadu Maharajika, Tawadingsa, and so on. So they are given as the distance between human realm and Jadu Maharajika is 42,000 yojanas. And between human realm and Tawadingsa is 84,000 yojanas, and so on and so on. So they are given that way. Now a yojana is difficult to ascertain. How long is a yojana? According to some books, a yojana is a little more than 13 miles. But in practice, in actual practice, a yojana is maybe about 8 miles. So even if we take yojana for 8 miles, these miles are very, very too many. But these are the distances given in some books, and so it is just for your information. It is not taught in the manual. And the bottom lines, hells 1 to 7 are situated in the earth, Patavi, which is 120,000 yojanas thick. Underneath is the rock Patavi, which is also 120,000 yojanas thick, and the Aviji hell is situated on it. So Aviji hell is maybe center of the earth. It is said that there is a kind of fire or something there, right? So Aviji hell may be situated there. So today we go through the 21 planes of existence, and then the rebirth linking, life continuum, and death consciousnesses functioning in those different realms of existence, and also the lifespan of these realms. So tomorrow we will study the karma. If you have time, please read the section on karma. It is from page 200 to 219, so about 20 pages. Okay, now the questions. In one life, are the death bhavanga, relinking bhavanga, and the life bhavanga the same? No, I think the question is not correct. Because death is death and it is not bhavanga. relinking is one thing, bhavanga is another, and death is another. So just one and the same type of consciousness functioning as relinking, as bhavanga, and as death. Or relinking bhavanga, life bhavanga, and death bhavanga the same. So if we leave out the words bhavanga, yes, relinking, life bhavanga, and death are the same. If one's relinking consciousness is accompanied by equanimity, does that mean that the equanimity feeling will dominate the person's life? It could be, because all his bhavanga movements will be accompanied by equanimity. Does it mean that he is seldom happy or sad? Even though one has indifferent feeling, one cannot be said to be sad. Although he may not be really happy in the sense understood normally, he is a peaceful person. So what is peaceful is happy, and so we can say that he is a happy person who has the equanimity feeling most of the time. Can a person who has practiced arupa jhana practice the rupa jhana? No. Or when a person gets the arupa jhana, the rupa jhanas disappear for him. During the life of the Buddha, the ascetic Asita was practicing the third arupa jhana, and he at the same time practiced the rupa jhana. I don't think so. The ascetic Asita practiced the arupa jhana. Now he obtains the arupa jhana. So when he obtains the arupa jhana, the rupa jhanas disappear from him. That is why he cried, he wept after laughing or smiling, right? So he saw the bodhisattva baby, and first he was happy and then he was sad. So the father of bodhisattva asked him why this strange behavior. He said, this boy will become Buddha in the world, and so I am happy. But I am sad because I cannot take advantage of his becoming a Buddha. That is because he will die, and since he had practiced or he had obtained the arupa jhanas, he will be reborn in the arupa realm where he cannot hear or he cannot see the Buddha. So that is why he cried. So when a person has obtained the arupa jhanas, then he cannot get into rupa jhanas again. Does a Tihituka Puthujana experience or not experience Kriya Javanas and Lokuttara Cetas? He cannot. Kriya Javanas are experienced by Arahants only, and Lokuttara Cetas are experienced by noble persons or Ariyas only, not by Putujanas. Is the Western Pure Land or other Pure Lands the same as the pure abodes? I don't think so. I think Pure Land is different from the pure abodes of Theravada Buddhism. How does one know whether one has no roots, 2 roots, or 3 roots? Now it is difficult. Now we can just guess. We do not know exactly whether we are no roots or 2 roots or of 3 roots. So that we are no roots we may be able to say because we are not born blind and so on. But whether we are 2 roots or 3 roots, it may be problematic. But I think that those who are intelligent and those who came to understand the Dhamma are three-root people. So I hope all of us are three-root people. For one born without the three roots, can the third root be cultivated? I'm sorry. Because this is the result of the karma we did in the past. So what we did in the past produces no third root. When we are born with two roots, we cannot add one more root to the two roots. So the third root cannot be cultivated. Means we cannot be three-root persons, but we can cultivate or whatever three-root in this. Let us say we are born with two roots. But in this life, we can practice and we can learn about those teachings, and we can become cultivated in the third root, the root of non-delusion. So we can have the third root in this life as kusala. So this will give us results in the future, not in this life. In the future, three roots as relinking. So, but in this life, since we are born with two roots, we cannot change to three roots. Shouldn't it be the rebirth linking consciousness and life continuum consciousness in this life and the death consciousness of previous life are similar and have an identical object? In death, last thought movement of previous life, either karma, karma nimitta or gati nimitta as object, the rebirth linking of this life and life continuum of this life shown the same object as the death theta of previous existence. At the end of the 5th chapter, I will take up this question. It's too involved. And you need the diagram. Maybe the diagram is here, but I will talk about it when we come to that section. Can a person born without keen faculties, lacking in three roots, still have a hope or chance to cultivate, again, himself to overcome his deficiency in the three roots and keen faculty in this life, or not in this life, till he attains jhana? No. So if he is born with two roots, then he cannot attain jhana in this life. So only he can develop three-root kusala in this life so that he gets the three-root results in the future. If it is possible, what are these possibilities? Please explain how it is possible. Does he need help from another person? Thank you. So since it is impossible, I cannot say anything about it. Why the Mara always go against the Buddha before the Buddha enlightens? Actually, even after the Buddha became enlightened, he went against the Buddha. He was always trying to find fault with the Buddha, and he always tried to do some mischief to the Buddha. Why not he listen to the Buddha and become his disciple? So it is said that Mara is like a rebel, like an insurgent or rebel. And Mara belongs to the 6th Deva realm, Paranimita Vasavati. Sometimes he was called just Vasavati. So Mara belongs to that realm. Although he is not the king of that realm, he is feared by the gods there. Because just as we fear the rebels, so the other gods fear him. And I don't know why he hated the Buddha so much. Because he always tried to do some mischief to the Buddha. Sometimes he would go about talking to people not to give anything to the Buddha. One day Buddha went without food because Buddha could not get any food because Mara was interfering with him. And then Mara went to the Buddha and asked him, "Are you hungry now?" But it is said in the other books that he would become a Buddha in the future. He is a bodhisattva. Where this Mara stay, in which realm? They stay out of the cosmos. He belongs to the sixth Deva realm. If one rebirth linking consciousness has Buddha as object, this object will be in the life continuum consciousness. The rebirth consciousness, life continuum consciousness, and death consciousness have the same object. So if it is the Buddha at the moment of rebirth, then it will be the Buddha during life and also at death. You mentioned about the rebirth consciousness with 2 or 3 roots. May I know what are the 2 or 3 roots? Wait until tomorrow. Venerable Sir, please clarify how Sotapaddi Magga person cannot be in Arupa planes, while Sotapanna Phala person can exist there. Now, Sotapanna Phala person is someone who has reached the first stage, right? So before he dies, he may practice jhana and he gets the Arupa Vajra jhana. So he can be reborn there. But Sotapaddi Magga person cannot be there simply because he cannot hear the instruction of other person. So a Sotapanna Phala person can exist or can be reborn in the Arupa Vajra realm. When we do the chanting of Dhammachakra, turning of wheel, will the Ram Chatumharajika Akaneta come down to listen? I don't know whether they will come down to listen or not, but it is good to invite them to come to this place and listen to the chanting. Because what we chant may be very, very different from what Buddha really chanted or what Buddha really taught. Not the meaning, but the pronunciation. It may be very different. We Burmese have a very different pronunciation of Pali. So there's a story that one Sayadaw went on a pilgrimage to a place where the Buddha's footprint was erected. And at night, he had so much devotion to the Buddha, and at night he recited, I think, the Dhammachakra Bhavatana Sutta. And it is said that after he recited it, a deity says, "Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu." So he was very glad, because a deva was acknowledging his recitation of the Dhammachakra Sutta. And then he asked, "How much different is my chanting from the Buddha's discourse?" Then the deva said, "Bhante, it is like, fish paste. It's very smelly. So Buddha's chanting is like smelling the fish as it is. And your chanting is like the fish wrapped up in plantain leaves many times." But it is good to invite the deities to come and listen to the chanting, because they might get results from listening to the chanting. Okay.